It's a new week. Thank God it's Monday. So let's do 55 minutes of relevant and current business conversations. And you know, it only happens here on Business Morning and here on Channels Television. I'm Ini John Mekwa. We start off with oil prices. Prices were up $1 a barrel on Monday after top global exporter Saudi Arabia pledged to cut production by another 1 million barrels per day from July, counteracting the macroeconomic headwinds that have depressed markets. Brent crude futures were $77.21 a barrel, and that's up $1.08. And earlier, it had hit a session high of $78.73 a barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude climbed $1.07 to $72.81 a barrel after touching an intraday high of $75.06 a barrel. The contract extended gains of more than 2% on Friday after the Saudi Arabia ministry said that the kingdom's output would drop to 9 million barrels per day in July from around 10 million barrels per day in May. The cut is Saudi Arabia's biggest in years. The voluntary cut pledged by Saudi on Sunday is on top of a broader deal by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and their allies, that's OPEC Plus, to limit supply into 2024 as the group seeks to boost fledgling oil prices. OPEC Plus pumps around 40% of the world's crude and has in place cuts of 3.66 million barrels per day, and that's about 3.6% of global demand. Back here in Nigeria, the NNPCL has been sharing what you need to know information concerning petrol subsidy removal with a flyer that it shared on its Twitter handle. The NNPCL explains that fuel stations cannot restock if they sell at old prices, explaining the reason for the new prices in spite of the fact that subsidy has been provided for in the budget until the end of June. The NNPCL also explains that with this new development, NNPCL will no longer be the sole supplier of petrol, giving room for competition and market forces to determine prices. Obviously, the issue of subsidy is an ongoing one in Nigeria. The Nigerian Aviation Handling Company has added its voice to that subsidy conversation. They're also very expectant when it comes to the promise of a unified exchange rate, and it's captured in this report.
Established in 1979 as the Nigerian Aviation Handling Company and renamed after its privatization in 2005 as the Nigerian Aviation Handling Company, Narco PLC provides aviation cargo, aircraft handling, passenger facilitation services, amongst others, to about 35 airlines across 7 airports in the country.
Basically,
the chairman of NARCO highlights stellar achievements of the company.
There was increase, about 41% increase in our tariff, but it was well managed because the cost also increased. Right now, we've got into exportation. We are exporting goods from Nigeria. This will earn us more dollars. So we are trying to also cope the ecosystem to do some other things that can increase our revenue and increase our bottom level. So, and then if you look at our first quarter results, you will see that they are having a sharp improvement on it. And I believe that the next report will be much better.
The company had its 42nd annual general meeting on Friday, May the 26th, where some of the achievements of Narco PLC were highlighted. The shareholders were pleased with the progress made, but the chairman believes the company could have done better.
About 4 or 5 years ago, an equipment that you can buy for maybe about 500 million naira. As of today, we buy them almost 1.5 billion. So it's basically because of the exchange rate, the dollar rate. So that is a challenge for us. And then government policies takes 5% of our revenue, not profits. And yet we still have to pay government taxes and all those things. So, I mean, the same government, you take tax, you take concession of 5%. I mean, the concession fee should be on our profit, not on our total revenue.
With a high performance recorded by Narco PLC in 2022, the management hopes to sustain this achievement and is optimistic that the current administration will resolve the challenges plaguing the aviation sector.
Yes, so that issue of subsidy obviously is a major one that we will stay on. But first of all, let's also see another problem that seems to be brewing another side of the economy. The Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria have directed members to shut down operations of all shipping companies and begin an indefinite nationwide strike from today, June the 5th. According to the President General of the Union, Prince Adewale Adeyanju, organized labor had been battling with the shipping companies for the welfare of workers. They are asking for better working conditions of the workers in the nation's shipping industry. We have joining us here to put more face and details to it, the Deputy Secretary General Organizing of the Maritime Workers Union, Comrade Abdul Eroje. He's in the studio with us. Comrade Eroje, good morning. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so first of all, before we go to your strike, I don't know why the maritime workers are striking now when the labor is also talking. I mean, the issue of subsidy. How is that affecting you, removal of subsidy? And
yes, I think the newly elected president of the country, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was ill-advised because it was a booby trap they set for him. The government, the outgoing government of the former government of what do you call him, Muhammad Buhari, deliberately. What do I say? Deliberately, on his own, I hope you are getting me, capture the subsidy of petroleum product in the budget till June. And in doing so, supplementary budget cannot come in now because of the 10th National Assembly have now been constituted. And in removing that subsidy, without putting template in place that will ameliorate the suffering of the masses. The refineries, it is even amusing to see somebody like Mele Kyari, the DG of the General
Managing Director of NNPCL.
Of NNPC, with Mefiale, they are now discussing with Tinubu how to remove the subsidy.
But the president, even during his campaign, never hid the fact that subsidy was going to go. You know, even before the inauguration, during his campaign, he said it. And we've heard the numbers of our debt servicing. We've heard how much subsidy is eating very deep into the pockets of the economy. We've heard NNPCL saying that the federal government owes it 2.8 trillion naira because of subsidy. You know, so I mean, it shouldn't come as a surprise. I guess this was already announced even before now.
No, if we ask ourselves, for the past 8 years or 10 years, I remember in 2015, Jonathan increased the pump price to from 87 to 97, 10 naira. And hair was let loose. Tinubu, everybody, Tunde Bakari, and they were all on the street. Femi Falana said, no, we will not accept it. The man backpedaled. He listened to the voice of the masses. Immediately they took over, they increased the price. Now, they have not prepared any ground. How do we revamp our refinery? Have we been able to privatize them? Have we bring in a private investor to manage the refinery, both repairs? Have you now built most of these refineries? The worry and
so these are the conditions you think should be put in place
before you remove the subsidy.
The subsidy is removed. Anyway, okay, so we're going to talk about, but let's not lose on track while you're here, which is that maritime workers begin strike today. Why?
We embark on this strike because of condition of service for the workers in the shipping sector of Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria, because we have 4 branches of the union, the MPA, the dock worker, the seafarers, and the shipping. And the dock workers have NJIC that regulate the wages and remuneration of the workers. The same thing seafarer. The MPA, that is Salaries and Wages Commission, regulate their wages. But the shipping, all of that time, they have been on this issue of plant level negotiation. But the union now said, no, let us have NJIC, National Joint Industrial Council, that we discuss, negotiate the remuneration, condition of service of the shipping workers. And the Shipping Association of Nigeria and indigenous shipping company, they have been relying on this. And the union, we have been on this matter since 2018, before COVID-19. 2020, correspondent before me here, we wrote to them, a committee was set up, and they have been dribbling us that they want to hear from NECA, they want to hear from this, they want to hear from Consumer Protection Agency, and so on and so forth. Shippers Council, that regulate economic activities of tariff and so on and so forth, called for a meeting, we met with them. They have been dribbling us. You will not believe that some shipping workers are casuals for almost 10 years. And the law says 3 months probation.
All right, just hold your thoughts there, comrade. We have Kelly Agiga at the office of the of the Maritime Workers in Apapa joining us now just to give us a feel of how the strike looks over there. Hi, Kelly, can you hear me? Kelly, can you hear me?
We can hear you. It's indeed a big threat and declaration from the Maritime workers. And as you can see just behind me, yes, a bit noisy, and that's because the workers are out here determined and resolute to indeed shut the ports and terminals across the country. But that's not all. They are also determined to also shut down all the oil and gas platforms across the country over what they have described or termed as unresolved or lingering unresolved issues. And some of these issues can actually be classified into 2. The first has to do with the condition of service, and of course the other one has to do with the employers unwilling to negotiate with them. And that's why today they have decided to ground activity. They have decided to shut the terminals right here at their Apapa ports. And that's what exactly we have going on here at the moment. They have decided to shut down the ports and terminals across the country.
All right, Kelly. So we see them singing and dancing. Have they told you what other plans? Are they picketing, or they're just singing and dancing? Are they disturbing traffic along that route in Apapa? I think perhaps the noise there is rather much for Kelly to hear that. But I mean, thank God we do have you here, comrade. So, but I'm just wondering, we're just starting a new administration, the administration led by President Bola Tinubu. Yeah. Why now? Have you sought or tried to have conversations perhaps with the incoming administration? Instead of, I mean, my colleague there talked about how you're planning to shut down even the oil and gas, and we know how much damage that can bring to economic activities. So have you tried having a conversation now? And why is it just a bit, barely a week into the administration, you decide to go on strike?
Yeah, the oil and gas issue, we have been on this matter since 2018, when Amici was the Honorable Minister of Transport. Then Sokonte was the Deputy Director, Marine and Operation. And the Eastern Stevedore Law, that's Section 27 of NIMASA Act of 2007, state clearly those who are eligible to work as dock workers in the port, bonded terminal, jetties, and oil platform And this extant law is being not complied with by the IOC. And what are the jobs at the oil platform? Coupling and uncoupling of hose that they use to load the vessels and so on and so forth, riggers that do the work of lifting of pipe and so on and so forth. And distributors were appointed to this platform. Hello? They were appointed to this platform, but they refuse to accept them. In 2020, we met with Amici, and I asked him, can any Nigerian man go to US? Because who are this IOC? Who are the owner of the IOC? ExxonMobil, I hope you are getting me, Total, Ajib, and so on and so forth. But they refuse to obey the extant law. And Amici give them 7 days. 2020, June.
So after the 7 days, nothing
happened.
Okay, all right, let's get another side of this story with the co-founder and executive chairman of ENL Consortium Limited, Princess Victoria Hastrop. She joins us virtually now from Lagos. Princess Hastrop, thank you so much for your time. So the maritime workers have taken to the streets, shut down work and all of that. How much of these do you think could have been curbed before now, and what's the way forward from your perspective?
Thank you very much for having me. The issue of the agitation by the Maritime Workers Union has nothing to do with, as you well know, that ENL is a port operator. You know, I'm part of the Association of Port Operators in Nigeria. So the issue that is causing agitation by the Maritime Workers Union has nothing to do with the port operator. It has to do with the shipping companies. And I want to suggest, I advise our shipping companies partners to please dialogue with the Maritime Workers Union to see to a peaceful resolution of whatever is the cause of the agitations. I really don't know what the problems are, you know, but I believe with dialogue that could be solved. So that's what I'm encouraging my colleagues to do.
All right, so now that they have down tools, especially at the dawn of a new administration, and of course this will bring disruption to the whole ecosystem of maritime and the ports and all of that. I mean, he talked about the former minister, Amici, had intervened and still they didn't see. How would you advise them to move forward? Who should they be looking to now, or what should the new administration be doing? I mean, already they have their hands full. We have the issue of subsidy really big on the plate at this time.
Well, I think there should be intervention on the part of government. You know, everything should be done within Maritime Workers Union should be ready to dialogue with the shipping companies. Fortunately, this has nothing to do, like I said earlier on, it has nothing to do with the port operators. You know, there is peaceful coexistence between the port operators and the Maritime Workers Union. I know they might have rights to agitate, but it should be done in a peaceful manner. And I want to believe that's done right now because there's no stoppage to ship operation this morning. And I commend the leadership of the Maritime Workers Union that they didn't do that. Port operation is going on right now in the port. You know, it shows the understanding of the Maritime Workers Union to the importance of port operation in the port. So I commend them for that. But I think government should intervene, and the shipping companies should please dialogue with the Maritime Workers Union to see, you know, how they can meet them right at the middle or at the center to solve this problem, whatever the problem is.
And what are your expectations as a port operator? Already we have the big issue of the subsidy removal. We had the promise by the president of unification of FX, and I know that really concerns your operations. So what are your expectations as we begin this new administration?
Well, my expectation is that government would put a lot of emphasis on the Maritime Workers Union and the maritime industry. The maritime industry is very huge. Government is looking to generate income. And I tell you, the maritime sector has the capacity to generate huge income for the federal government of Nigeria. And that can only be done when right policies are made. And of course, when policies are made, before policies are made, government should please engage those that are operating within the sector. We know the problem. We have suggestion. We must make input. When we make input, it will give room for a robust policy to be implemented by government. And when that is done, it will actually, help the economy of Nigeria to grow. The maritime industry is huge, like I said. You have the port operator, you have the shipping companies, you have the clearing agents, you have the ship handlers, you have the truckers, you have a whole lot of them. It's a huge, huge sector. So government should pay, a lot of emphasis on this sector, not on oil alone. Oil will soon pass, but the maritime sector will forever be there. Businesses are done in the port. There is import, there is export, activities going on a daily basis. So government needs to pay a lot of attention to the maritime sector that has such a capacity. The potential is there. The potential is really very huge. So government, I expect the new administration of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu to please, pay attention to the maritime industry. That's what is needed. Right policies, like I said, must be passed. Government must talk to people that are operating within the sector. We have ideas because we run the port. A lot of us are, doing one activities or the other in the port. So we can make inputs to bring about a robust policy. Policy is key.
So I guess that will also mean that there has to be a kind of attention given to whoever will emerge as the Minister of Transport, because under that individual, then you will need someone who would give attention to the maritime and all the other aspects of maritime, of transportation.
Yes. We also would, ask the new president to please ensure that somebody who has the experience of maritime is appointed to be the Minister of Transportation. That's very important. Like I said, this sector is very, very important to the economy of Nigeria. It has such a huge capacity. So we don't want somebody who will start learning. It's a sector that should be, managed by people who have enough experience, to run the sector. So that's what we'll, ask the president to ensure that that's done.
All right. Thank you so much, Princess Victoria Hastrop, co-founder and executive chairman of ENL Consortium Limited, for your sharing your views with us this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Let's take a short break now. When we come back, we'll continue here on Business Morning. Welcome back to watching Business Morning here on Channels Television. We still have a colleague out there, Kelly Agiga, out on the streets following the Maritime Union workers who have down to asking for better welfare, and we hope we'll be able to hook up to him in a couple of minutes. Kelly, can you hear me? Are you there?
Yes, Guinea, I can hear you. So we had to climb on something that's a bit elevated, particularly in fact, we are on a truck. And that's because we had to try and move away from the noise of the protesters. I don't know if you can hear me loud and clear.
I can hear you, Kelly. Go ahead.
All right, so I mean, just a moment ago, I was sharing with you how the workers here have said, look, they are shutting down the ports and terminals nationwide. And I was trying to see my cameraman can perhaps span so that we can establish where we are. We are just here at the Papa Ports, but to my right there we can see the Nigerian Ports Authority, the Port of Lagos Apapa, and of course, so this is where we are. Pockets of crowds are gathering here to understand exactly why these protesters, these maritime workers, what their demands are. There's the question as to if this is connected to the fuel subsidy removal, as I have seen also captured in one of the inscriptions displayed by the workers. But who better to ask than the National Treasurer of the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria. He's right here with me, and of course we're going to get his perspective on the program live here. He's Comrade Uche Ugonu. Comrade, please, we need you right now. Comrade. Well, you know how it is, organizing protests nationwide, so it is expected he's busy trying to see how he can also ask the protesters to tone down a bit so that we can hear them loud and clear. Yeah, Comrade, we need you live on TV right now. We need you live now. Talk to us exactly. We have spoken to some of your executives on the program, but share with us, is this in any way connected to the fuel subsidy removal? Because I've seen it captured on one of the placards displayed by some of your protesters.
The situation you see here presently has nothing to do with the NLC expected strike. This is the Maritime Workers Union strike, and it is from shipping branch of Maritime Workers Union.
So in terms of the timing of this strike, in terms of the timing, why now?
Now, because we've been on this matter since 2018, and we now found out that management is recalcitrant on doing anything to improve the welfare of workers in shipping sector of Maritime Workers Union.
And so you are a national exco. Talk to us, how long is this going to last, this shutdown?
This is going to last as long as management refuses to talk to the workers. The day and time they agree to talk to us and negotiate the fringe benefits and welfare of the workers, that time we should reconsider this action.
And maybe one final question. Confirm to us that this is happening across all the ports and terminals in the country.
As we speak, all our formations in the country are on this strike, as far as the shipping companies.
All right, thank you indeed, Comrade Uche Ugonu, the National Treasurer of the Union, speaking to us live here. He's also the Minipas President of the branch. But as I was mentioning just a moment ago, I can see that particular placard there. If we can pan to it, we can see this placard, which has to do with the removal of fuel subsidy. It reads that we demand for transport palliatives for workers to cushion the effect of subsidy removal. So, indeed, this is different from what the National ESCO has just told us, whether this is connected or not to the fuel subsidy removal. But
all right.
I'm thinking that it's indeed connected to it.
Okay, all right, Kelly. Well, they do have their demands, and obviously they're also feeling the pinch of the subsidy removal. So I guess, some people just decide to bring that. But thank you so much for giving us that broader look at the strike right there at the venue, Kelly. So we still have with us here, Comrade, joining us here in the studio, Governor Eruju. So you've seen your people there. That was the plan, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you cannot tell us exactly how long this is going to take, because it's affecting ports all over the country, operations all over the country.
Yeah.
But you don't want to tell us how long you're going to do this for.
No, if they have to come, if they come to negotiating table for to discuss the welfare and wages of the shipping workers, then if there's positive outcome, then we'll call off the strike.
So if you start negotiations, do you call off the strike or until you get what you want?
No, the moment the procedure is the moment we start discussing, we call off the strike. The moment we start discussing and we believe that we are going to have a headway, then we call off the strike.
But I hope you don't. I mean, this is a huge loss to the economy. The ports, that's where you have imports and exports. We're talking of boosting our non-oil exports and all of that, you know, so it's a huge loss. It's going to reflect in our GDP. It's going to reflect in our FX and every other thing that, you know, is connected to economic activities.
Yeah, I think the leadership of Maritime Workers, you know, Comrade Prince Abdulwahid Adewale Adonju is a patriotic Nigeria. He hardly called out workers for strike. He loved the country, he loved everybody, but when we are pushed to the wall, we have to react. Because if a worker retired and we are giving him just 700,000, and he have to move his family to either to Maiduguri or to other part of the country, with this situation now, this fuel subsidy removal, how is he going to manage? And you know that most of our children attend private school, both primary and secondary school. Okada used to carry them from home to school and bring them back. How are they going to cope? That is the area of subsidy. So if we are talking about increase in wages and other conditions of service that border on hour of work, retirement, final pay-off, medical facility, minimum entry position, outsourcing, and so on and so forth. Because we believe that the worker who work like as you are working here, you have to enjoy the benefit of working. And at the point of exit, you have to go home with something that is tangible. So, like I said, the President General of Maritime Workers, you know, who is the Deputy President of Nigeria Labour Congress, is a patriotic Nigeria that wants things to be done orderly. So this, we were pushed to the wall before this position was taken to shut down the operation.
So if you sustain this strike, and the NLC, the bigger umbrella, has threatened to start strike on Wednesday because of subsidies, so I mean, so everything is shut down.
Yes, it's going to be shut down because in the sense that I run generator and I'm buying 5,000, 10 liters for 5,000. There is no light. We have this become the outgoing, the former government has spent millions of money to ensure that we have power generation, we have lights. I hope you are getting me. But we are not, you use generator too. I use generator. So we buy fuel. Go to other countries like Dubai, you don't see generator. Go to South Africa, the generator is up to 20,000 megawatts.
South Africa, they have a huge power shortage. So let's not even go to South Africa.
When
the problem seems to be bigger than us at this time.
When Ramaphosa come on board, things change. But before he's coming, everything was in order.
He's a Nigerian. Anyway, we have to thank you so much, Comrade Abdul Eroje, Deputy Secretary General, Organizing the Maritime Workers Union. Thank you so much, and we do beg you in your protests, try to make it peaceful, and do remember that the economy needs a lot of positive activity at this time.
No, we agree with that, because after oil, the port is the gateway to the national economy. So we know that before we come to this point, is because the shipping companies, they were recalcitrant.
All right, thank you so much for your time this morning. So there you go there. The strike by Maritime Union workers continues, unfortunately, and as at this time, they cannot tell us exactly how long that will last. They say they will continue to down tool until they get positive response, which we hope will be very soon, because we cannot overemphasize the need for economic activities at the port. Let's head over to the markets now with Will Ibong to tell us, Will, I know you do FX on Mondays.
Yes, good morning, Ine. I was just thinking about, just ruminating on what you're talking about, the ports, the strike with the maritime sector.
And that's where your FX is supposed to come from.
So and all
you have to beg them.
So I am pleading as well.
Beg. No, don't plead. That's being touche. Beg. Because you need the FX that comes from the, the activities at the port. So if we don't have that at this time,
it is very serious for Nigeria if we lose that FX inflow. That source of FX is really crucial at this moment, because we see the depletion of the forex reserves right now. So this is not what we need at the moment.
Exactly.
And the government needs to to look into this as soon as possible. So we're just going to kick off with what happened at the FX market. We did see a decline in the FX reserve. It maintained a negative decline. Gross FX declined further by $52.97 million to $35.09 billion as at May 30th. And we're seeing now that, but however, when we look at the transactions at the FMDQ market, we did see a boost. If you look at the first slide, we did see a boost in the transactions. Let's go back to the first slide and see that huge value, over $2 billion in value transacted as of last week. That's a 135% jump for the FX market in total of the sports forwards, futures, and derivatives market. We did see that decline in the I&E window, 7.41% down to close at $632.58 million. And then we see the futures market led the gains we saw, that up over 451% to close at $1.7 billion. And we're going to bring in Uzo Anakebe, is a trader, Access Bank, FX dealer at Access Bank, to give us what's happening at the FX markets. Good morning, Uzo. It's good to have you on the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Will.
Now, we did see a lot of action at the FX market. Also, I was talking earlier, speaking about this jump we had in the derivatives market. That's for the futures. Can you give us a background as to what's driving this? We're seeing a lot of activities in the FX space, but what's driving it?
Okay, thank you very much. So recently, last week Wednesday, we saw the futures majority hit the system. So we had about $750 million of futures contracts that matured last week. So most of these contracts were rolled over, and we also know that we now have a new government, and one of the major pointers for this government is that they have informed the general public that the President Buhari has informed the general public that they will be unifying the FX rate in the market. So what this means is that there will be some adjustments in the rate, and most market participants are trying to hedge their exposures using the non-deliverable forward. We saw, apart from the $750 million that matured last week, we saw also about $1 billion of contracts being executed in the market last week, which shows that most market participants are reacting to the fact that they're expecting a unification in the rates in the FX market, so they are trying to hedge their exposures.
Okay, so last week we also had rumors which the CBN debunked about a devaluation of the naira against the dollar. How has that impacted sentiments, buying sentiments or activities in the FX space?
So when the news came out last week that there has been devaluation in the rate, you saw that most market participants were reluctant to trade in the market, and this could be shown in the slight decline in the rates last week. However, CBN has come out to clear the air that there is no devaluation in the currency. And if you look at the NAFEX rate throughout last week, we saw that the rate traded at 465 levels, while the I&E closing rate was at 464 naira to the dollar last week. So apparently there is no devaluation in the market, and the market is trading calmly as it has been all this while.
Okay, now thanks for that update. But we're going to quickly look at the fixed income space now. We did see last week's transactions, bullish sentiments across board for the bonds and the treasury bills market, and yields keep trending downwards. Also, do we see this continuing this week? What do you think is spurring this negative sentiments for investors, because they're not getting the proper yields that they ought to? And do you see more supply, liquidity in the system being so much?
So what we experienced was the end of the month last week, which is also the end of the month. We saw increased liquidity in the fixed income space due to the FAC inflow that came into the system, and we also know that CBN paid out the OMO maturity that happened towards the end of last month. So we saw increased liquidity in the system, which spurred up activities in the fixed income market, the T-bills market, and the bonds market. We saw most of the T-bills trading the short-term, the long-term securities, which was trading at sub 8% levels. But also on the fixed income space, we saw some activities in the 50s and also the 2026 and 2027 bonds, which are trading at sub 12% levels. So going into this week, we expect cautious trading as most of those liquidities that hit the system last week has been mopped up by most of the activities that happened last week in the bond market. So we expect some cautious trading approach. While on the Eurobond space, we still noted that the Fed and ECB increased their rates by 25 basis points. So we still see activities, especially in the Nigerian sovereigns, where the president has noted that the removal of the first subsidy for the nation. So this has spurred up activities as most counterparties are looking at the Nigerian sovereign bonds for the Eurobonds market. So we hope that trading will continue on a cautious levels going into the week.
Thank you so much, Uzo Anakebe. We do hope that we'll see maybe more bullish sentiments or bearish sentiments in the NTB auction on Wednesday. Thank you so much, Uzo Anakebe, FX dealer, Access Bank, for joining us.
Thank you.
So, Ini, that's how we ended the review for last week's fixed income and FX. But we did see, the equities market was on fire.
Last week was a special week.
It was on fire. I need to go closer. I need to just, to do this because it was on fire last week.
But after that, we had just marginal slim wins all through.
Yes, but you do see the power of sentiments trading with sentiments.
Yeah,
investors bet on the government policies, and we saw that spike in the activity.
So I wonder when, hopefully, when the unification of the FX rates actually happens, I wonder how the markets will look like.
We'll see a lot of FX, portfolio, investors probably coming in again.
Hopefully. All right, thank you so much, Will. Let's move over to London now, where we have Juliana standing by. Juliana, good morning. Thank God it's Monday, and today is World Environment Day. How are you guys celebrating it over there in the UK?
A happy World Environment Day. I've got to tell you, unfortunately, not much movement in the United Kingdom about the World Environment Day. Of course, it is the United Nations Environment Programme. It's been going for about 40 years, and it's really a time where the UN want the citizens of the world to focus on their local environment. So you would have to scroll, unfortunately, to about the 10th or 11th page of your search engine if you're in the United Kingdom to find out what the government are doing. But there are projects available for children who have just finished the half term, so will be in school today. I think some of the ideas that have been thrown around are cleaning up your local beach, doing your best to make sure you're saving energy at home. But yes, nothing major, no headlines from the British government. I think that's because the British public have become really tired with some of the protests from organisations such as Just Stop Oil, which have been just stopping cars trying to get to hospitals or to catch a flight, and that's caused lots of pain and misery for already beleaguered Brits. So nothing major planned by the British government. There is still time. Perhaps there'll be some sort of press release or press statement given to the media at about lunchtime, but so far we're celebrating it in name only.
Well, I have to tell you, Juliana, it's not just in the UK. Back here in Nigeria, I think we're just so engulfed with the subsidy issue and cost of living and cost of transport. A lot of us do not even remember.
Cost of everything.
Yeah, cost of everything, Juliana. So, I mean, it's not just there. I guess it's a thin line all through the world. But what are the expectations for the week?
Well, it's going to be a busy week for Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. As discussed last week on Channels Business Global, the Prime Minister is going to be making his first official visit to the White House. I believe that kicks off on Wednesday and Thursday. This is a big deal for Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who's pretty much been on the ropes. It's been a really difficult time since he took over, leading the Conservative Party. He was handed the keys to number 10 in October after the disastrous 6-week tenure of Liz Truss. And we know that America has always been Britain's closest ally, or for at least the past 80 to 90 years. So it's going to be an important Photoshop. I believe they are, of course, going to be discussing Ukraine. They're going to be talking on China. The plan was that they were going to be discussing this big UK-US trade deal, which was promised to Brexit voters during that 2016 referendum. It hasn't materialised. advised. A Downing Street spokesperson said that we're not going to expect them to talk. So that's that. And then, of course, something I'm sure we're all going to be seeing on our timeline over the next couple of hours is Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex. He's going to be at a high court today. He is the first senior royal in well over 100 years to actually be in the witness box. And this is all about hacking and the British press. I know, the Nigerian media get a hard rap from the government, but my goodness, you've never gone up against the British media. They are a force to be reckoned with. And Prince Harry is doing that amongst other celebrities. So yes, we'll be giving you updates on that. That's a huge story, and it's going to have a ripple effects across the British establishment, which is the British media. So yeah, lots of tabloid fodder. And then, of course, I'm sure there'll be some data that drips through too to keep us busy, Innie.
Yeah, very busy week for you, even if it's not from the data. But thank you so much, Juliana. We'll talk to you at 1:30.
Talk to you then.
All right, let's move over to the crypto space now. And Ladi walks in with no numbers on the screen.
Yeah, not just yet.
Okay.
But thank
you
God
have a surprise for us, I guess.
Not much of a surprise, though Bitcoin's still struggling, below that 30K level.
Yeah, I think yesterday I pipped it to and saw 27,000.
Yeah, it did try to, but not being able to flip that crucial 28,000 level. So that's why we're seeing that, struggle. And
there's no subsidy anymore, so we expect.
Well, imagine if subsidy impacted that market, but I guess not now. Let's look at the sentiment, 53 points neutral at this point, still showing that the market is looking for direction, either up or down. Let's look at the top cryptocurrencies that we track. We see Bitcoin down 0.91% this morning. Ethereum down more than Bitcoin this morning, 1.16%, losing that $2,000 psychological point below that level at this point. BNB, though, on that threshold, they're looking like it's going to go below $300, down a big 1.55%. We know they're still having some challenges there with regulation. Cardano, that's down 1.18%, but the XRP, that we're seeing big move there, up 3.07%. Different direction than major cryptocurrencies that were tracked this morning. The top 100 on CoinMarketCap there, we see that's up 3.07%. They're scoring points against the US SEC, so that's helping keep that investors bullish on XRP this morning. Let's bring in Solomon Amunde now, financial market analyst. Hello, Solomon.
Good morning, Ladi. Good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. So we got a report of a major hack on Atomic Wallet. Users lost over $35 million due to the hack. So I'm wondering, Atomic Wallet is supposed to be, I'm guessing it's not decentralized for users to actually lose money there.
Yeah. Actually, the security team are still trying to investigate the cause of the attack. And the scary part here is Atomic Wallet is actually a non-custodial decentralized wallet. What this basically means is users are 100% liable and responsible for the security of their assets, which raises the question how this could have gone wrong. And obviously, there are lots of ways that this might have gone wrong for the users, looking at their activities on their devices, depending on where these funds were actually being stored and the seed phrase was actually being stored. So they might have gone wrong based on VPN services or maybe public Wi-Fi services or where they stored their seed phrase. So it's a very, very dicey one. But the crypto community is actually hoping that the issue isn't from Atomic Wallet security. And because if that be the case, then you're looking at over 5 million users that their wallet might have been compromised.
And $35 million, that's a big one there. Who's going to pay the users back for this one, pending investigation?
Truthfully, no one would pay the users back because it's in the terms of service. The wallet is actually non-custodial, so the moment you choose to create your seed phrase, you're 100% liable and responsible for the security of your funds. So at most, users might get a maximum payment of $50, which is almost nothing because some users actually lost up to $1 million.
So other wallets, say MetaMask and other decentralized wallets, are they at risk of these kind of hacks too?
Technically speaking, they are not a risk of this kind of hack. And that's why we mostly advise users to make use of hard wallets which disconnect you from everything happening online, and your only need for that wallet is when you want to make a transaction, then you can bring it or connect it, and it comes online and you make your transaction. But any form of decentralized wallet, once it's online, you're still to an extent exposed to certain forms of risk.
Wow, really tough being your own bank in this industry. But let's look at price action now. We've seen Bitcoin, still struggling. It didn't flip the 28,500 level. What are you expecting this week for Bitcoin?
Okay, currently, early hours of this morning, we saw it retrace very sharply at the 4-hour candle. It retraced to almost 6,600. So this week, I'm expecting Bitcoin to make a run for about 20,000 again, but I'm not expecting it to go past that this week. My bias is still 100% that we will still see a lower low for Bitcoin, most likely to the range of about $22,000. So I'm still expecting that. But so far, so good. Bitcoin has been proven very strong, moving sideways and consolidating around $25 and $26K, which I 100% believe is as a result of the on-chain transactions happening on the Bitcoin network based on the ERC20 tokens. So let's see how this week goes. My bias still remains that we would actually try to go above 28K, but we wouldn't.
Yeah, still looking for that drive up above 28,000. But what are you expecting for altcoins there? Which ones are on your radar for this week?
Currently, the same altcoin has been on my radar for a while. I'm looking at CHRO. It's looking very strong, moving almost to about 16 cents from about 13 cents last 2 weeks. So I'm still looking at it. I'm expecting it to make a move to almost 25 cents from 16 cents. Then so also I'm looking at the VR project and the metaverse related project because of Apple will be launching their VR very soon. So I'm expecting them to make some good movements within the next 10 days.
So that means there might be some kind of VR narrative in the crypto market. Anyway, we'll keep watching out for that. Thank you so much, Solomon Amonde, financial market analyst. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's look at the top gainers now. We see Lunacy topping the counter up 16.56%. The only double-digit gain we see on the top 100 coins. Sand on the metaverse coins at 6.28%. Might be feeding on that VR narrative that might be loading. We see Mana, same. Metaverse token there, 5.62% up. So we're seeing movement with metaverse coins right now in the market. That might give us direction to what might happen next if Apple actually comes out with that juicy news, as Solomon did say. XRP on the top gainers count to 3.05%. Let's look at top losers this morning. See Pepe, the new meme coin on the block, 6.07% down. Profit taking we're seeing with that meme coin now. So that's how the market is looking in it today. It's still looking for direction. We're seeing being your own bank, not that easy with that massive hack of Atomic Wallet.
Yeah, we have to praise the central bank and the NDIC for taking all the risk. You lose your money and it's assured and all of that. So these are some of the risks that are involved in business.
Exactly, so much risk.
Thank you so much, Laddie, for your time this morning. So that's it on the program this morning. Thank you so much for this 55 minutes of relevant and current business conversation. I hope it was relevant enough. We do hope that there'll be succor given to those maritime workers. And of course, the issue of the subsidy is an ongoing conversation. Tomorrow we'll have that on. You can be sure. John Mekwa, join us at 1:30 for Business Incorporated and watch Business Morning anytime you want on YouTube. I'm John Mekwa. Have a great day.